Chapter 103 Red Lotus. Thanks to her outstanding talent, at the third lesson, Quilla was able to execute loop. Even though he practiced night and day, Lit needed until the fourth one, ending up as the 10th to complete the exercise. At first, he had been frustrated by his inability to keep up with Quilla. Despite her private lesson on dimensional magic and the long hours of hard work at night, he was always up to 2 or 3 steps behind. But then he understood that being 10th on over 200 students wasn't such a bad result, especially since most of them had a way to go. Not to mention that his mana sensitivity was slowly but steadily improving. It was an odd experience, feeling the energy flow with the mind rather than his eyes. Dimensional spells seems to have hot and cold spots at the same time. The secret to stabilize a gate was to infuse water magic only on the hot spots. Using too much of it or affecting an already cold spot would cause the spatial distortion to collapse. When the weekend arrived, Lit needed to vent out his frustration. So he proposed a trip to the forest to forget about their worries and fetch some ingredients for extra points or money. Since he got admitted to the academy, Lit had stopped working, and in case he needed to get his family out of the kingdom and rebuild their lives from scratch, it would require a lot of gold. But aside from Quilla, the rest of the group had his hands full between understanding triple cast and managing to complete the loop spell. I would love to come with you. Quilla seemed really dejected. But I am useless in battle, and you are a great healer yourself. Without someone protecting me, I would only be a burden. The best thing I can do is help them with the dimensional magic and practice for the next exercise. Hearing those words, Lit's mood went from good to great. Work hard for me too. If you find any trick or shortcut to it, I'll make it worthwhile. After that, he only had to go to the portal connecting to the ground floor and the academy's entrance. Before going out, he needed to get the clearance. The clerk, stationing at the front desk, beside the giant wood and the metal double doors, looked at him like he was a madman. "Are you really going out alone? Where is your team?" If that was a joke, he didn't find it funny. "No team, just me. Can I go now, please?" Lit snorted. "Do you realize that once out there you are on your own? Outside the exam period, you are not bound to encounter friendly magical beasts. You are just a 4th-year student. You could meet 5th-years too. Not to mention poachers, adventurers, monsters, and God knows who. The academy is in the forest, but doesn't own it. It's full of resources and everyone wants a piece of it." "No problem, I got this." Lit took out his ballot, receiving a contemptuous look in return. "That doesn't work outside the academy. The only thing you can use is this." The clerk showed him a marble-sized pendant. "In case of trouble, just put its center to generate a distress beacon." "But it's not a ballot at all. First, the rescue personnel will have to find you. Only then a warp step can be opened. It can take minutes." Lid smiled at the good news. Fine by me, is that all? Grumbling about youngster idiocy, the clerk compiled the form and had Lid sign it. The castle gates are open 24/7. I recommend you not going too deep and returning for the night. That's the moment when the big predators hunt. If you still want to go, that makes 200 points. 200 points? I need to pay to risk my life? It's the only way to make you kids realize how important this decision is. Normally, the cost would be split among the team members. But since you are alone, Lid exchanged the points for the pendant, without a second thought. Once he was behind the tree's cover, he put the uniform and everything related to the academy in the pocket dimension, wearing his old hunter suit instead. With everything that was happening, it was much safer appearing as a stranger rather than a student. The clerk's words were the best news he had received over a week. Being alone, as long no one was able to recognize him or live to tell the tale, he had no reason any more to hide his real power. Lid had often thought how to conceal his face, and had come with a solution during the 4 days break. A mask would have been cool, but would limit his line of sight. Hoods were good only if they abode to some magical principle, preventing them to come off while moving at high speed. Not to mention the poor lateral vision. His old self that had always loved heroes was really disappointed. But he had long learned that practicality was much more important than looking cool. So he had his mother realize a ski mask, leaving only his eyes exposed. Once his identity was safe, he started flying among the trees, using live vision to check the perimeter for enemies and prey alike. Being unshackled after so many months gave him an adrenaline rush. Lid started moving faster and faster, alternating short flights with high-speed movements, thanks to fusion magic. Solus, let me know if you sense anything with a huge mana signature. This isn't Tronwoods anymore. We aren't hunting for food, but for magical herbs and mana crystals. Yeah, too bad that the library books can't be brought outside. The forest herbarium and bestiary would save us so much time. Who would have thought that dimensional magic was that hard? We hadn't had a minute available to copy them. We'll do with what we remember. Lid kept going deeper into the forest, jumping from tree to tree with an agility and speed that would have put a ninja to shame. The killing intent he emitted kept normal animals and insects at bay, allowing him to move unimpeded. After a few hours scouring the forest, his patience was growing thin. Abundant resources? Ha! I haven't even spotted a single magical beast so far. Where the heck is all the good stuff? Down there, look, at the bottom of the tree at your left. Following Solus' directions, the only thing that Lid noticed was a big bush in the middle of a clearing. Switching to live vision, the scenery changed entirely, though. The world turned into shades of gray, while the bush was the only thing of a deep green. On the center of it, there was something that shined a pure light, the strongest magical force he had ever saw. He floated down slowly, checking to have no competition for the treasure. Odd! There's nothing alive around here except for trees and plants. Maybe that thing is sucking all natural resources, Lid thought. By coming closer, he was able to catch a glimpse of his prize. It resembled a red lotus flower, and it was floating in midair above the thick bush, emitting a sweet fragrance, like a flower bed after the spring rain. His first instinct was to extend his arm and take it, but his paranoia took the wheel, forcing him to stop. Wait a minute. I get that I'm pretty deep in the forest, but this thing stands out a lot. Why no one has found it before? And how the heck does that thing float? More importantly, why there is no insect buzzing around? And since when plants appear colored with live vision? Because their vitality was equally dispersed from the roots to the leaves, usually, live vision perceived small plants as almost lifeless, while big trees had barely a tinge of red. When he had devised that spell, Lid had planned on using it against humans and animals alike, making it more sensitive to things that had an active circulatory system. No matter if it was mana or blood, live vision sensibility was aimed to things that moved quickly. The bush appeared of a blue color, something that he had never forgot about. With a wave of his hand, the space around the lotus was invaded by flames. An inhumane screech filled the air. The bush suddenly moved, revealing countless green appendages hidden underground that now it was using to smother the flames. Each of that thing was as thick as Slit's arm, moving and writhing so fast that he couldn't get it if they were vines or tentacles. The red lotus swayed and moved along with the bush thing, revealing to be connected to it through a small tendril. The thing didn't seem to have a defined shape. It was a living mass of vines that was whipping the air, trying to capture its prey. The green appendages moved quick as snakes, grabbing Litz by the arms, chest and legs, only to discover that he had already moved, leaving behind only an after-image. Whatever you are, I'm not your game material. Back off. With another wave of his hand, he released countless wind blades, cutting all the incoming appendages like a hot knife through butter. The thing screeched again, and its body, no more lying down, revealed to be at least 3 meters high, filling the air with snapping vines.